Does rock tumbling interest you? I'm Marcy McDonald with Pacific Northwest Suburban Homesteading. We recently presented a Rock Tumbling 101 class at the Crater Rock Museum in Central Point, Oregon. This week's second part of the series discusses how to select the right rocks for the best chance of success.
You can tumble any rock you find, but not every rock that you tumble is going to get a high fine polish on it. Some general guidelines. First of all, you're going to look for, where's my rough? There it is. This is some rough. What you're going to look for are rocks that even in their rough stage, they kind of have a slightly waxy or glassy texture. I'm going to pass these around. I have enough for everybody to take a look at. Those are jaspers there. Some Applegate jade, some more jaspers. They've got some agates, petrified wood. They've got this, glassy, slightly waxy texture, especially if you break them. That's Applegate jade there. And a vug, some agate there.
What's a vug?
A vug, it's a term for an agate that forms, basically, picture a cavity in some bedrock. A big hole, and some rich water got in there, and the water evaporated, but the minerals kept building up, and so you have this cyst, basically, of a rock in a different type of rock. That's a vug. V-U-G, vug.
Which one was the Applegate?
The green one, Applegate jade, yeah. That's a form of serpentine.
Yeah, I've been up there, so.
Yeah, it's just found in that area. It's really pretty stuff, yeah. So an easy way actually to tell if your rock is going to tumble and polish and take a polish, if you're not sure, is to put a drop of water on it. If the water kind of sits there in a little puddle and stays, it'll polish because it's got the right texture. If you put water on it and it kind of absorbs in, your rock is going to be too porous to actually take a polish. Yeah, so that's a really good thing. So I spit on rocks all the time when I find it's good. No. We're really classy here in the rock hounding world, yeah. You're going to want to avoid brittle rocks that will shatter easily, like labradorite, because they may be hard, but they shatter into little glass fragments easily. They won't survive. They'll also, may damage the other rocks by putting grit in there. A good way to see if it's gritty or grainy, here we go. You take two pieces, let's say this is of the same rock, you rub them together, and there's grit falling off. I don't know if you can see it. This will turn into grit and when it's tumbled, so it will not take a good polish. Well, this is called a sugar agate, and they call it a sugar agate because it looks like the texture of a sugar cube. And that's not going to tumble, or it's not going to shine. It will actually take a bit of a luster polish, but you're never going to get a shine out of it because it has the wrong texture.
Can we see that?
Yeah, I'll show you. The funny thing is, on the outside, they have all of the waxy texture, very glassy. If I put water on it, it will beat up and sit on it. It's just when you break it open, you get this. Also, sugar agates, they look like potatoes. Anybody want a baked potato? I fooled somebody one year on April Fool's Day. I made a baked potato for them. I wrapped this in tin foil and I served it to them, and it's got something that fits like this. That's the right texture. But we also have to have the right hardness. So is everybody familiar with what's called the Mohs scale?
Yes.
The Mohs hardness scale? This is probably one of the most helpful things you can have. The Mohs scale was developed basically by checking the hardness of rocks against other rocks. So if a rock can scratch another rock, that's what it was based off of. So everybody knows that basically there's nothing harder than diamond. A diamond can scratch anything. So anything below a diamond, it can scratch anything. Corundums, a diamond is 10, the hardest on the scale. Corundums, which is like rubies, sapphires, stuff like that, that's a 9. A diamond can scratch a ruby, but a ruby can scratch anything below it.
But it can't scratch a diamond.
Right, because a diamond is above it on the scale. And over here on the side are common items that you can scratch it with to test. I can't scratch it with a masonry bit. That means it's a corundum or a diamond. It's too high. What you're looking for your tumblers is stuff between about a 6.5 and a 7.5 on the Mohs scale. The indicative rock that they use to describe each level on the Mohs scale, we don't really do a lot of orthoclays. A lot of people have quartz. Quartz is very commonly found here. Quartz tumbles great. That's about a 7. I've listed down here at the bottom some other things that work really well in the tumblers. Agates, carnelians, which are all found here, jadeites, jaspers, petrified woods, some things that you might find in the gift shop like sodalite, unakite, stuff like that. Generally, if I find a rock and I can't scratch it with my pocket knife, that means it's at least hard enough to go into a tumbler. It may be too hard. There are some, if you get into the, above 7.5, they'll be too hard. They'll be stubborn. They will just beat your other rocks to pieces and possibly destroy them. One of the saddest things that happened to me one time was that I put a piece of fluorite in my tumbler with some jaspers and quartz, and it was a beautiful piece of fluorite. I did not realize that fluorite was about a 4 on the Mohs scale. When it was done, I had discovered Professor Zimmerman's magic disappearing fluorite. It was not even there. It was gone, but I had a slurry that was slightly reactive to blacklight. So I knew it was there. It was there. It was destroyed because it was too soft. But that's where your vibratory tumbler would have come in great. So you want similar hardness, like I said, 6.5 to 7.5 is the hardness that you're shooting for. And if you have any question, if you know the rock and you say you have a piece of topaz, is topaz too hard? You just say, you look online, topaz Mohs scale, and it'll tell you the number. And if it's between 6.5 and 7.5, tumble it. If it's out of that range, don't tumble it. As far as loading your type of rough into the tumbler, your most common size is going to be about 1 inch or smaller. You want them mostly that, but you can include a few pieces larger. This is really determined by the size of your barrel. So this rock here, it's about 2.5 inches, is the absolute biggest thing that could go in this tumbler, because if it was any larger in this barrel, it wouldn't actually be tumbling, it'd just be kind of rolling. If I put it in this barrel, it'd be like, haha, you're kidding, right? So it's really, you don't want it bigger than about half of the diameter of your barrel. I could put something much bigger in here. The other thing that you're going to want when you're loading your barrel, even if you don't want to tumble these, you have to have a large handful of these little guys. These little guys are called worker stones. They do the actual job of the polishing. The tumbling and the polishing is all done by friction. So these are the little ones that get in there in the little bits and pieces, and they grind that grit in there and they grind off the corners. Because if you just had 2 really big stones in a small tumbler, you're going to get like 1 point of contact. You're not going to get a lot of action. So you need lots of these little guys in there to actually do the work. They don't have to be really awesome things. I mean, these would actually polish into little pieces that could be useful in, something, but you have to have them. And if you don't have them, there are substitutes. They make artificial ceramic bits. But I say that if you're going to be running the tumbler, go rock hounding and get some more rocks in there. Get some more rocks. Don't waste the time and the energy and the grit on ceramic. Just wait a little while until that tumbler gets full.
Are those ceramics different sizes, or are they different hardness as well?
They're different sizes, and there's really no difference. It's just different manufacturer. These are available actually in the gift shop. All of this, the grit and everything is available for sale in the gift shop.
Use them across different steps, or so you could use them with the whole batch.
You can. There are different types of fillers that you can change to depending on the stage. We will talk about that in a little bit, but you can use them all the way through just as filler if you need them. And the funny thing is, as you're going through the stages, you will have to add filler because you're grinding the pieces off. Your stones are actually getting smaller. So you may start with a 3/4 full barrel at the beginning, but only have a half a barrel at the end. So you would be adding stuff. And like I said, there's different ones that if you're really into it, you can use in different stages. But this is set up to be able to use one thing for all stages if you don't want to get as quite into it as I am. One really funny thing about the Mohs scale, people think, here's a dead pen. Okay, here's another dead pen. All right, who wants the bet? Who wants the bet? Okay. Okay, I win. So most people think, here's your scale and your 1, 2, 3, 4. You think of hardness as going like this. This one is 1 step harder and this one is 1 step harder. That's not actually how the Mohs scale works. It's not an incremental scale, it's what's called an exponential scale. So Mohs hardness, you've got 1 here, which is your talc, 2, which is your gypsum, all the way to 10 here. Every number is twice as hard as the one before. So, 1 here, 2 is twice as hard, 3 is twice as hard, but the next one is actually this hard, and this hard, and this hard. And so, a ruby might be here at a 9, but because a diamond is twice as hard, the scale actually goes like that. So it's not just like a ruby is here and a diamond is just 1 step harder. It's exponentially harder. The Richter scale also works like this. This is why a earthquake as a 6 on the Richter scale, a 7 is infinitely more destructive. It's because it's not just 1 step harder, it is exponentially harder. Ultimately, as far as tumbling goes, doesn't matter because you're not going to be tumbling diamonds. If you do feel like tumbling diamonds, I will give you my phone number at any time of day and night. Call me, I will talk you down. In fact, I will take the diamonds away from you. No. Anyway, that's the type of rocks that you would want to tumble. There are circumstances where I've mentioned, like you can tumble softer stones, a little bit softer. We'll talk about that later. Not to be blunt here, but everybody's heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out. If you start with stones that are just low quality, not very good, you're not gonna really get great tumbles out of them. So learning what goes into the tumbler, what tumbles best. But we all make mistakes. I've got a whole package that we're gonna talk about at the end. Can anybody see the label on this? It says duds. These are things that I tumbled that didn't work out. I finished tumbling this one 2 weeks ago, so I still get duds. Well, here's the other piece of fluorite, the other half of the fluorite of the one that I tumbled. Very sad, very sad. It just disappeared. Like I said, discard anything that's, gritty or porous. It's not gonna really tumble. If you've got stuff that's fractured or brittle, it's gonna come apart on you. Maybe discard some of those or break them up into your worker stones. Yeah, it happens all the time. I put stuff in the tumbler that, this looks really interesting. And by the time I get to the end of the cycle, this is not interesting. It's okay, it happens. Just, you've got a nice smooth Rockwood garden now. No big deal. Everybody know what a leverite is?
This is what we call a leverite, meaning it's not really worth as much, so I'm gonna leave it right there.
Any more questions on picking rocks? On what kind of rocks you want to use for tumblers?
So say if you have a quartz piece, but on the inside it's got some crystals.
Like
those
druzy?
crystals this one's more like an egg. On the inside it's got some yellow crystals. Tight. They're very tight.
Yeah.
Is that going to crumble?
How big is it? Okay. It will crumble out unless you have, there's a couple techniques that you can do. I would be concerned more about the whole thing collapsing.
No.
Yeah, because if it's hollow and it keeps getting smacked.
Hollow.
Well, it's
Solid.
so one of the things that you can do if you're at all concerned about little crystals in a pocket or something, this is a technique. It's not 100% guaranteed, but some people do this, is before you start it in the tumbler, you fill that pocket with hot glue. Yeah, so it gives it some support, it gives it some structure, and the grit can't get in there, but I can't guarantee that the hot glue might not pop out. Like I said, it's not guaranteed, but it is something that some people do. And hot glue can be pulled out or it can be melted out and not damage anything. It's a thought. It's an advanced technique. Try it.
Okay.
It's all sorts of interesting, fun things you can
This
do.
will probably pop off just because it's a flat edge. It's perfectly flat.
Perfectly flat.
So might work as a cap.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
yeah, that's something you can try. Good question. Any other questions? We doing good? What kind of rocks are you thinking about tumbling? Do you have some for your tumblers, or are you just gonna go out and do some rock hunting now that you know what you're looking for?
I have a bucket of parts.
Bucket of quartz.
But a lot of them are very jagged on the outside.
Okay.
So they're very,
Okay.
crusty.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
This piece of petrified wood is pretty jagged and crusty, but it's going to come out very rounded by the time we're done here. And this is my potato, and this is natural. I love sugar agates. All right, let's make sure I haven't missed anything real quick here.
I think I have a different goal than most rock tumbler people.
Huh?
Because I watch a guy on YouTube, and he's been very informative. But he's after this perfect polish, high shine, all this. My goal is that those rocks I pick up, I just want them to look the same color when they're dry as they do when they're wet.
Yes, that is actually an extremely good point. When you have a raw piece of rough that's been cut or broken, the best way to know how it's going to look when it's finished is to put water on it. So in addition to spitting on it to see if it actually, goes into it, the finish of a tumbler does change the appearance of it. Putting water on it is going to give you a very, very good idea of how it's going to look when it's done. There are some rocks that even though they don't take a polish, I still run them through the tumbler because they just look so cool. There it is. This did not take a shine, but look at the pattern that came out when I tumbled
Yeah,
it.
see, that's my goal, as not to be perfect, beautiful stones, but I just want them to have the same color they had when I spotted them in the creek.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mentioned earlier when I do scuba diving, I've seen rocks at the bottom and I collect and I collect and I collect and I put in my pockets and and it's really hard to get to the surface with that many rocks in your pocket. Then I get out of my gear and I take them out and
Hey, why did I grab that?
it's because it doesn't look at all like that. I can't imagine how many rocks that I have passed by because it was a dry, sunny day.
Right.
That if it had been raining, I would have changed my mind and taken it immediately.
Right.
Another thing that happens all the time is beach agates.
Yeah.
When you see them at the beach and that's just gorgeous color, and you take them home and they're just by the time you get them home because they dry out. And I wonder why in the world I took that.
There's an agate.
Any curiosity about how it's going to look, dunk it in water. You'll notice in the gift shop sometimes or in the workshop, they have slabs and a spray bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So you can know, it's like, when I'm done working this, what is it going to look like? And you just spritz it with water. All right. Do we want to take a bathroom break? If we've been here for about an hour, if we want to get a drink of water or anything, we can take 5 minutes and then talk about the actual tumbling process.
Now that you know how to pick rocks for the greatest chance of successful tumbling, check in next week to see the methods for polishing your rock hounding finds. If you missed the first installment on how to choose your equipment, check out the link for part 1 in the description below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, be curious, keep an open mind, and never stop learning.